Who is this man, and what is his story? You may ask. Well, his name was Polycarp, and he was the disciple of the Apostle John. Let me tell you more about him. But first, subscribe so that you won't miss out on any of our future videos. The man we are talking about today is not the most well-known early Christian martyr. That title belongs to his teacher, the Apostle John. However, without Polycarp, John's legacy and teachings might have been lost forever. So who was he? How did he become the guardian of John's legacy? And how did he display such extraordinary faith? Find out today as we look at the life and legacy of Polycarp, the disciple of John who faced the flames. After the ascension of Jesus Christ, the disciples of John and other apostles continued to spread the gospel throughout the Roman Empire. One of them was Polycarp, the bishop of the church in Smyrna. He was known for his steadfast faith and courage. In the year 155 AD, he wrote a letter to the church in Philippi, warning them against false teachers or heretics, people like Marcion, who denied Jesus' humanity and was spreading his own version of Christianity. In fact, there was quite a lot of Marcionist teaching that crept into the church and caused it great harm. Marcion had actually broken away from the church due to his disagreements with its teachings, which led many Christians astray. So Polycarp warned the Philippians to be careful about those who preached doctrines different from what they had learned from the apostles. He wrote, "Beware of those who preach false doctrines, for they say things to deceive you and lead you astray, especially those who say they are apostles while they are not." When the church in Philippi received Polycarp's letter, they decided to send someone to Smyrna to get clarification about Marcion and his teachings. They sent a young man named Quintus to ask Polycarp some questions regarding Marcion's teachings. Upon meeting Polycarp, Quintus found him to be a wise and holy man. After hearing his answers, Quintus realized that Marcion was a heretic and had no place in the church. But here's where things take an interesting turn. Sometime later, Marcion himself came to Smyrna to try and persuade Polycarp to accept his teachings. Now, you must be wondering why Marcion would go to Polycarp when he already knew Polycarp would oppose him. The answer lies in Marcion's arrogance. He was so convinced that he was right that he thought Polycarp would eventually agree with him. Or maybe he wanted to provoke Polycarp into a public debate, hoping to win over the crowd. Whatever his reasons, Marcion went to Polycarp's house and knocked on the door. When Polycarp opened the door, he saw Marcion standing there with a group of followers. Marcion said, "Greetings, Polycarp. I have something important to discuss with you." But Polycarp replied, "I know what you have come for, and I am not willing to discuss it." Then Marcion tried to bribe him, saying, "Just say you agree with me, and I will give you a lot of money." But Polycarp answered, "I fear God." Not hunger or thirst, Marcion persisted, but Polycarp only told him to leave. Enraged by Polycarp's refusal to even listen to his arguments, Marcion shouted, "Very well, I shall depart. But I shall return again and again, and I shall not cease to annoy you until you consent." Then Marcion left, vowing to return. And he did return, but not to engage in theological discussions. A few days later, Marcion returned to Polycarp's house with soldiers and dragged Polycarp out of his home. It was during this arrest that Polycarp proved his unwavering faith in Jesus Christ. He was taken before the Roman governor, Asiaticus, who ordered him to be tortured in various ways. The governor wanted Polycarp to renounce his faith and worship the Roman gods instead, but Polycarp refused. He was beaten, flogged and thrown into prison, but still he did not deny Jesus. When Polycarp appeared before the Roman judge, Irenaeus, he was told to curse Christ, but he refused. Instead, he said, 86 years have I served him, and he has not yet forsaken me. How can I blaspheme the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords? His response shocked everyone. Even Irenaeus, who had expected Polycarp to break easily, was surprised by his strength. So he summoned Polycarp again, this time offering him freedom if he would curse Christ. Again, Polycarp refused and was sentenced to be burned alive. Imagine being tied to a stake with dry wood ready to be set ablaze. As the fire approached, Polycarp prayed, "Grant me patience, O Lord, to preserve my soul unspotted." He showed remarkable endurance and faith as he stood in the fire. You might think that the fire was enough punishment, but it wasn't. Polycarp's story doesn't end there. Miraculously, the fire did not burn him, but instead it turned into a protective barrier around him, and it was at this point that someone from the crowd cried out, "Come on, Polycarp, curse the Lord, escape the fire," but Polycarp continued to stand firm. It was then that a soldier rushed forward and plunged a dagger into Polycarp's chest. What an incredible display of faith. To be honest, you probably wouldn't have lasted that long in this situation. But Polycarp showed us all what it means to have unwavering faith in Jesus Christ. He was a true disciple of John, continuing his teachings and legacy even in the face of death. There is one more thing we need to talk about. People sometimes disagree over whether certain events really happened because they are not mentioned in the Bible. However, there is a record of Polycarp's martyrdom written by an eyewitness named Irenaeus, who wrote, "The blessed Polycarp also was called by the Lord according to the will of God in the city of Smyrna, having endured glorious sufferings. This proves that what I just told you is true. But that's not all. I told you about the miracles Polycarp performed. But wait, there's more. There is a legend that says that before his death, Polycarp placed his staff on the ground and it blossomed into a grapevine. Another legend says that when Polycarp was arrested, he predicted that the bishop's throne in Smyrna would become vacant within 3 days, and it did. These legends and his other miracles show how special Polycarp was and how strong his connection to God was. His story inspires us to keep believing, even when things seem impossible. You see, Polycarp was very influential in spreading the word of Jesus Christ. He taught many people about God, including a man named Melito, who later became the Bishop of Sardis. Also, Polycarp visited the church in Rome and talked about what he had seen and heard during his lifetime. Polycarp's influence was not limited to his lifetime. His actions paved the way for the future development of the church in Asia Minor. He played a key role in organizing church councils and helping resolve disputes among Christians. Moreover, Polycarp's legacy continued through his students and their students, with the most prominent among them being Irenaeus, the author of the book against heresies. However, despite his immense contributions to the growth and development of the church, Polycarp's name does not appear in the Bible. Still, his influence on the early church cannot be overstated. He was a true disciple of the Apostle John, carrying on John's legacy and continuing his teachings. To sum up, Polycarp's influence was enormous, his faith unshakable, his miracles astounding. Do you feel inspired by Polycarp's story? Do you want to follow his example? If yes, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Friends, we have come to the end of another amazing episode. We hope you enjoyed learning more about the incredible life of Polycarp, the disciple of John who faced the flames. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. Also, let us know in the comments section below which historical figure you would like us to cover in our next episode. Thanks for watching. See you soon.